When we're in love, we do all the things that our lovers demand, without giving a second thought to the results of our actions. Our blind trust has caused us to suffer the consequences, and we regret the decisions we've made in the past. It is very important that you hit the bell icon and subscribe to our channel before getting into the story. Suppose the name of my ex-wife is Victoria, and the name of me was Hank. My job was as a DJ, and Victoria's job was to wait on tables at a restaurant. My first encounter with her was at the restaurant where she works as a waitress. About 12 o'clock in the evening, it was a quiet night. When I got back from a party, I was exhausted because I had been out all night. There was a lot of going on during the day. In those days, I was struggling to make a living as a DJ. In other words, I was working 2 jobs at the same time. During the day, I worked at a gas station as a gas attendant. During the night, I used to be a DJ at different small parties that I attended. On top of that, I was tired of my routine and struggle as well. In spite of working for 1 year, I did not get the results that I wanted. On that particular night, I was under a lot of stress. When I entered the restaurant, I was looking for something to eat. There was a few minutes of remaining before the restaurant closed. As Victoria informed me that she was going to close, I think she felt I was not okay, so she said she would bring me something to eat and I would sit down. While serving, I might have had a look of disappointment and sadness on my face, so she asked me about what happened while she was serving. There was nothing I could say to her, so I started eating without telling her anything. After that, she said that whatever the problem is, I'll pay that. It can be figured out as soon as possible. There was no feeling of discomfort in my body. I then explained to her what was happening to me, that what I had gone through and how I felt. She also said that she had been helpless once in her life when she was a child. She was 16 years old when her parents died. She had one little brother who was still a baby, and she had to go feed him when he was just 7 months old. In spite of the fact that she did not have anything to feed him and no relatives was able to come over to help her, she was able to work hard to provide for him. There was a time when she became hopeless as well, but God made her strong in the end. It was her end story that motivated me a lot. In order for me to achieve my goal, she encouraged me to be consistent about it. My gratitude goes out to tell her for all the help that she's given me. It was then that I became much more confident in my ability to achieve my goals. It was her words that stuck in my mind for a long time. Therefore, I started to work harder in order to achieve my goals. The following day, I started having dinner at that restaurant on a regular basis. This led to the two of us becoming friends over time. A few weeks after I started working as a DJ assistant, I got an offer from a well-known DJ to join him as a full-time assistant. I was extremely happy to hear this news. The first thing I did was to go and tell Victoria about what had happened. After listening to this, she became very happy and hugged me in excitement after listening to it. I had never been hugged by her before, and it was the first time she had done so. Afterwards, I thanked her for inspiring me to work harder when I became hopeless, and she was the one who made me continue to work harder. As a result, I told her that I wanted to celebrate my first job with her. A dinner party was thrown for her by me. The way she was able to have so much fun was just amazing. I would say that she was a little crazy if I had to describe her. I felt something for her on that night, and I wasn't sure why. However, we have never discussed it with each other. As a result of my new job, I have been very busy. I did not mean for her for 2 weeks actually. She always messaged me to talk to me, even though I did not meet her. I remember after 2 weeks when we met, she hugged me so tight and cried like a baby. It is also claimed that I've been absent for a long time. During that day, she expressed her feelings about me in a very direct manner. In her words, she did not think she was in love with me, But in the absence of me, she realized that she was in love with me and missed me a great deal. It was from here that our relationship began. In the meantime, she was still working in the restaurant. Having to work for his brother at the time, she was left with no choice but to do work she had to do since she was not able to attend school in that period. Anyhow, aside from this, I also started supporting her and her brother. Since I had few contacts, I was also able to get big parties, so over the course of time, I have developed my own work, and this has been a source of passive income for me since I've learned this skill. Then I was able to buy a nice apartment and became much more stable. As a result, it was time for me to think about my personal life, so I decided to get married to Victoria. I got married to the love of my life. I was now responsible for her as well as her brother, and so I took on the responsibility of supporting her brother until he reached the age of 18 years old. After we got married, life was good for us. In order to make up for the things that she did not give because of crisis, I began giving them to her. After my marriage, she started to love me more, a lot more than she did before. In my opinion, our marriage was ideal in every way. During the day, I spent most of the time with Victoria, and at night I worked as a DJ. As much as I could, I tried to spend some more time with her. I had to work as well, but I also had a lot on my plate. This is something she complained about to me. In addition to all this, she made a few friends along the way. On the weekends, she spends time with her friends, with whom she hangs out. When she demanded money for any of her needs, I gave it to her without any question on my part. As a matter of fact, my motto was to fulfill each and every wish she had for me. After a few months, we decided to move into the house. It was a weekend when she got some money from me. The girl went on a trip with her friends and told me that she was going to return home at the end of the night. During the night, I went to a concert, but due to some security concerns, the police came and stopped the concert. So I came back home. The first thing I noticed when I arrived at my house was a sports bike outside. During the middle of the night, there was an individual who came to my house who owned a sports bike, and it was strange. As a matter of curiosity, I knocked on the door. After knocking a second time, there was no response, but after knocking a third time, there was a response. In order to open the door, Victoria came to the door. I saw her and asked, "Do you know who had that sport bike?" It looked like she was nervous or something. She looked nervous as she spoke. After thinking for a while, she said, "Yeah, that is my friend's bike who came to drop me off." Was it right now that I said it? I was too late, and this is my friend who came over to drop me off, and I offered him a cup of coffee here to make up for my tardiness. In spite of whatever was going on, I still believed her. The man was sitting on the sofa when I entered the hallway, and when he saw me entering, he got up and came to meet me. In a way, it was as if he was already familiar to me. He clearly knew who I was based on the fact that he called my name, or perhaps Victoria had told him about me. Despite this, I had no idea that I had ever met him before. No words were spoken by me. He finished his coffee and left. In the aftermath of his departure, I told Victoria that she had to be careful and come home earlier than usual. There was an argument between her and me in which she argued that I doubted her. The answer to your question is no, never. I am just worried about you, my dear love. I'll never leave you. After that, she just shook her head and went to bed without saying a word. There was a night when I tried to sleep, but I wasn't able to do so, and I don't know why. Nonetheless, I realized that it may be that I was trying to sleep at a time that was not appropriate for me because I worked at night at that time. In any case, I forget about it and got caught up in normal routine of my day. On one of those days, I arrived home and I once again just went to sleep on my bed as soon as I got home. As I was laying on my bed, I found a ring that I thought was man's ring. I would say that was a second sign that something was amiss. This was the day my brain told me that I should be careful about Victoria, and that day I did not sleep and spent the whole day thinking about what and how she was doing that. There was a lot of love between us and I gave her everything she asked for. Since then, I've not trusted her anymore, and I've started keeping an eye on her all the times. To be able to track all her steps, I decided to stay at home all the time to spend with her. In fact, I did the same, but I then came to the conclusion that she would never commit such an act in my presence, so I was forced to spend time out of the house. Anyhow, the nature of my job was also like that. So for this reason, I got some cameras and installed them in my room as a solution to that problem. It is important to keep an eye on her all the time. Also, it was not possible for me to spy on her constantly and to ignore my work at the same time. As for me, it was also very important, seeing as I could not stand her presence. I was behaving in a very strange way towards her due to the fact that my temper was out of control. I shouted at her at many times as well as stopped talking to her. She talked to me one day during breakfast and told me why I stopped loving her and what was wrong with me. My eyes were still filled with anger as I stared at her furiously, as if she thought I knew everything about her. She got afraid and became very anxious. As soon as she got close to me and started hugging me, I told her to get off of me and I went to my bedroom and locked the door. In order to catch her, I was tracking all of her activities. From anywhere in the world, I could see the live recordings of those cameras on my cell phone. As for many nights, I saw no activity like this at all. Only on a week later, when I was at work, did I see an activity like this. There were 10 times that I saw to my cell phone because it was anytime she got into bed with her fucker that I saw it. The first time I saw it was when they entered the room in a recording. The moment I heard the news, I immediately told one of my friends to take my place and immediately rushed to the house. In order to prepare myself for this, I was prepared. As soon as I got the idea of what I had to do, I started working on it. On my way home, the sports bike was parked outside of the house when I got home. In the first place, I punctured the tires of his bike so he would not be able to run away anywhere. I went into the house very calmly after that. As soon as I opened the door, I grabbed a bucket and filled it with ice-cold water, and when I opened the door, I began to throw all the water on them. After that, I suddenly grabbed the guitar that was hanging out on the wall and smashed it on the head of the man. I grabbed the Victoria and threw her into the washroom where I locked it. She was still naked. I then picked up the guy and tied him with a rope as soon as I picked him up. Due to the fact that he had sustained a head injury, there was a great deal of blood on the floor. As soon as I got Victoria out of the washroom, I asked her what to do with 2 of them. Then I got her to tell me what to do. You don't need to tell me what to do with him. Just tell me what should I do with you instead. On the ground, she was weeping and apologizing to me. As soon as I asked her twice, I replied that I would tell you what I was going to do as what is possible for me right now. The first thing I'm going to do is kill him and then I'm going to kill you. Is that okay with you? As she got more and more frightened, she began weeping louder and louder. As she grabbed my feet, she begged me for an apology and pleaded with me to stop. In my response to her, I said I would let you both go if she do the same things that I would instruct her to do. It was okay with her. It was right in front of me that I ordered her to do something. While crying, she looked at me and told me that it was not possible for her to do this. In my question, I asked her why it is not possible to do this. If I had not come, you would be doing this and enjoying it quite a bit. If I hadn't come, as I said, if you do not do what I say, then you know very well what I'm going to do. In front of me, she did it. I recorded her doing it while he was tied to the chair. She was crying badly while he was tied to the chair. She was being interrupted by me. I did not listen to her and I threw them out of the house without a second thought. There was a feeling of brokenness in my heart that night. The reason for this is that I had lost my love, who was very important to me at the time. The fact that she was one of the reasons for my success. As a result of her actions, I feel compelled to do this. The night I had done this to her, she will never be able to forget how I treated her. I still cursed her because what she had done to me. She destroyed me for whole life. My soul is in pain badly.